No, that's wrong. Dixie Diamonds 431. Mets, 11 p.m. Dixie, 7 a.m. Whoa. A disturbed Richard Kelball replied to Balloony's calmly delivered question, wherein Z had asked him about the degree to which Zah needed to be isolated from humans in order to ensure the safety of the inhabitants of Earth. Back up, Richard added, shaking his head. What is the nature of this threat that you present to the inhabitants of Earth? Oh, please, we both know the answer to that, and though you haven't explored the mental thread, the question of how my existence could impact the Earth, especially if more of my kind were to be created, is certainly one you've brushed aside multiple times. Balloony, threat assessment is a huge part of my job. You know that. Of course I've wandered down the path of what are you, where are you, how much power you have, how can you be controlled, if subjugation of others is something you would contemplate, either for the good of other or for some egomaniacal desire to be the top dog, and whether you can be controlled or at least reasoned with. But I certainly have not come to the conclusion that you are a threat to humans that can only be contained if you never interact with us. Please explain. Richard, don't be coy. Don't try to manipulate me, and do be honest with yourself and with me. Constable Truganini and I sifted through possible candidates for me to directly work with. Two other candidates that we discussed at length were ASIO Brisbane agent Riri Burchett and BPD Sergeant Barbara Golf. Lala had been extremely impressed with Sergeant Golf's performance in the Brentsie house raid and felt that she was likely to be the most straightforward of our three candidates. But Lala also conceded that Sergeant Golf would have the least amount of pull and accessibility to further intel. The real contest was between you and Burchett, and again, Burchett's scope of power is greater than yours, but by hearing your thoughts and being privy to your actions, we agreed that you had the best balance between power, justice, and the ability to synthesize how my existence and powers create a potentially world-changing dynamic. I had to persuade Constable Truganini to contact you rather than Golf because while she and I agree that Golf would be more sympathetic to my existence and be more swayed by my previous actions and less concerned with the threat my kind has on global stability, that her ability to move the powers that be would be far less than either yours or Burchett's. I put my life in your hands because I'll need to live with myself for a very long time, and I was created as someone who cares for others. It's literally part of my fabric to work for the betterment of others, but that doesn't mean that I don't pose a threat to the world's hierarchy, and we both know that for the sake of stability, I need to cut myself off completely from humans. I must, for your sake as well as mine. I do not wish to be hunted, captured, controlled, or blackmailed. If the truth of my existence and my power become known, Pandora's box will seem trivial, and that's why I, after doing all I can to stop the Brentsies or anyone else from creating more like me, will disappear from humankind. So what do you think? Is the bottom of the ocean sufficient, or do I need to leave Earth altogether?